All right, guys, it's our SummerSlam preview, and we always love doing this. We always like getting the perspective of also not only like somebody that's in the journalistic business, but also to a fan of wrestling. So today we got Jarrett Bailey. He joins us today. Welcome to the show, man. You got an awesome resume, man. You're a writer for Sports Illustrated. You say Today. You also host the No Notes podcast, and you're joining us today to talk about SummerSlam. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm like trying to juggle two things at once. I got Dynamite on next to me, so I'm just trying to keep up with what's going on there. So it's been a noteworthy show for AEW too. So yeah, no, it's just a fun time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, lots of news going everywhere, and this weekend again is going to be a huge weekend for wrestling. Not only do we have SummerSlam, we got Ric Flair's last match in quotation marks, right? And so we've got a full weekend of wrestling, but we're going to focus on SummerSlam this Saturday, a premium live event. I can get used to these Saturdays though, you know what I mean? Because Sunday usually got to get up, early, start your week out, but now these Saturdays. You got Sundays, you can stay up late. You can really, watch a show, maybe take a look at afterwards, take a look at it again. How do you like the Saturday premium live events?
When I do watch them, when I do tune in for them, I mean, I am. It's definitely preferable to a Sunday show for the reasons that you just pointed out. Like, especially for me, just because like when football season rolls in, I'm not going to go out of my way to watch, a pay-per-view over a game that's going on. So having it on Saturday, like I'm more of a casual college football fan, so I'll definitely choose, a pay-per-view over, the Pac-12 after dark or whatever the hell, whatever's on at that time. So, having them on Saturdays, I think that's going to be the plan for both promotions. I think going forward, if they can pull it off, is to have them on Saturdays, and it's better for the fans. Like, you see, anybody who talks about it says, yes, let's just keep doing Saturday shows. It makes so much more sense than a Sunday show. So hopefully they keep doing it. It's just more convenient for everybody involved, I think.
Well, speaking of the Saturdays, I need me to cut Jeff off there, which
cool.
I really do. I don't like talking with Jeff that much. But speaking of that format changing, though, what do you think about the whole WrestleMania format changing? Now, it used to be a one long show on Sundays. What do you think of the dynamic now of Saturday, Sunday WrestleMania?
So much better, because like WrestleMania used to be just like a slightly longer pay-per-view. Like it would be, 3.5, 4 hours long. And then now it's, if they do it one night, it's 7 hours. Everybody's crapped out by the main event and not into it. You split it up into 2 nights. You get, both crowds that are both very hot throughout the night. And the main event, if it's good, like as long as there's good wrestling throughout both nights, then crowds are going to be into it. But even if you give them incredible wrestling, make somebody sit through 7 hours of anything, I mean, they're going to be tired by, hour 5. So I think that's what a lot of people have been complaining about AEW pay-per-views. Like, yes, there's much less of them, so they mean more. But when they're coming in at, longer than a Lord of the Rings movie, then it's going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt to keep up with. So, yeah, splitting, especially for WrestleMania, it's just too long if it's one night. So having it, night 1, night 2, and all of them so far, like all the main events for each time that they've done it have been really good. So I think that was the right call to make. And going forward, I think that fans are really going to enjoy that more than, sitting through, a literal day's worth of wrestling. So yeah, 2 nights for WrestleMania, definitely the better idea.
All right, so a lot of news this week. Let's start it off with Seth Rollins and Riddle. That was supposed to be a match on the card, but it was postponed, and a lot of people were looking forward to that match. A lot of people were, that was the match that a lot of people were like, hey, this could be a show stealer. And with Seth Rollins and Riddle in there, obviously was a top candidate to do so. What's your thoughts on that? Try and maybe push that back to maybe Clash at the Castle. This injury to Riddle, is it real or not? Just your thoughts on them pushing this match out of the card.
I hope that this is some sort of way that we just get Seth Rollins and Johnny Gargano at SummerSlam. I think that would be a perfect way to reintroduce Johnny Gargano and make his main roster debut, like official debut. I think that he was part of that NXT Invasion thing from a few years ago. But having him, there was rumors about, what's he going to do when he decides, to come back to wrestling. I think with Triple H being in charge now, I think that it's a slam dunk for him to come back to WWE, be on the main roster. He'll be treated like the star that he is. And we know that Seth is pretty good at, putting on returning guys' first matches back in WWE. So, yeah, if this is a vehicle to get Johnny Gargano versus Seth Rollins or Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins, I'm very much on board with it. Very much on board. So hopefully we get something fun like that.
So you guys really think that Seth is going to have like another like open challenge kind of thing, right? We're thinking that this is what's going to happen, that he's going to be there. I mean, there's a lot of guys, top guys that aren't even on this card, like a McIntyre and Owens. So Seth Rollins not being on there just doesn't make sense. So we kind of agree that, he'll have some sort of match at SummerSlam.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like it's hard for me to even like care too much about this card because the main event is something that fans have already seen a trillion times. You just mentioned it. Drew's not even on the show. Kevin Owens isn't on the show. Seth is quote unquote not on the show. But Triple H literally quoted his tweet, where Seth is like, I'm not going to be at SummerSlam. Wish I was. And then Triple H quoted it saying, I hear ya. So a little tongue in cheek there. I think he's going to be there. And it'll be some sort of surprise debut, which again, if it's Bray Wyatt, if it's Johnny Gargano, I'm here for it. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, what even are the other matches on this card? I genuinely couldn't tell you. Like I try to keep up enough with WWE. I know obviously the Roman Brock one just because everybody's pissed off about it, but I genuinely don't know if I could tell you any other match on this card. Is Liv Morgan facing Ronda Rousey? Someone tell me.
Well, Jarrett, that's why we're here.
Okay,
just to give you a tutorial for Saturday night. That's what I think we're going to do here. We're going to give you a little tutorial because we're going to talk about one of the women's matches. It's for the Raw Women's Championship, a rematch of WrestleMania, Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. One of the best matches at WrestleMania. This time, Becky Lynch is challenging for it. So, I mean, you can tell there's good chemistry between Becky and Bianca. Just your thoughts on this match. We're seeing it again, but they have chemistry. So I'm looking forward to the rematch.
Yeah, you just said it. We're seeing it again. I've seen this enough. I've seen Becky and Bianca Belair wrestle a trillion times over the past calendar year. Don't need to see it again. I would have much rather them done Asuka against Bianca and have Asuka go over. I want Asuka to be the champion more than anything. I love Asuka. Yeah. And, they just keeps... I think that this is going to be the last pay-per-view because this pay-per-view's kind of already had everything going into it when Vince is there. I think this is the last true pay-per-view of the Vince McMahon era. After this, we're going to start seeing a lot more fingerprints of Triple H on the product. So I expect a lot of nice things for Asuka because of that. So I'm going to be patient. I'm going to sit and wait. And then once I start seeing her just kicking people in the fucking head every week, I'm going to be a lot happier. So, and again, look, this match is probably going to be good because Bianca and Becky are both very good. I'm just not invested into it because I've seen it enough. I saw it at WrestleMania. It was great at WrestleMania. And they've had a story. Literally, they've been involved with each other since, was it February? No, since last SummerSlam, really, when Becky came back. So I don't care. The match is going to be good. I'm sure it's going to be, but I'm not invested.
Yeah, but how apropos, right? That started a year ago, ends theoretically a year later. Finally, this whole storyline is finally into it between Becky and Bianca, though. But you just said a great point in terms of this is probably the last pay-per-view of the Vince McMahon era. His fingerprints are all over it, though. But I don't know. I just think that it's just so in depth right there because you just said we've seen Becky and Bianca a million times. Okay, but then when you look at the rest of this female roster, if we're looking and really just focusing on women's wrestling, it's going to take a while before you break that formula because they have to bring so much more people to be invested into other women, right? It's always been the same people over and over again, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't help that, they have released, a ton of their women over the past calendar 2 years or however long it's been. Obviously, they've got promise in NXT and whatnot, but how long till they get caught up to the main roster? And then what can they do with NXT once those people are caught up? How much people do they have waiting in the wings to take over that? So, I mean, yeah, they've kind of shot themselves in the foot where they really only have how many women that they can do stuff with. You can only do so much, interchanging stuff. So, I mean, they really need Bayley to come back. It seems like I feel like SummerSlam would be a good place to bring her back. If we've seen rumors and whatnot over the past few weeks saying that she was getting close to a return. So if that's the case and she comes back, that'd be a huge boost to the women's division. So, hold out hope for it. And then if we can get a program between, Bianca and Bayley, I think that would be awesome. And then go from there. So, yeah, I mean, the lack of, women on the roster definitely hurts them. The lack of main event caliber women as well really hurts them. There's not a lot of them. So, yeah, there's definitely some things that they've done to themselves where they've kind of backed themselves into a corner.
Plus, there's also unfinished business between Bianca and Bailey, since Bailey was injured prior to that storyline coming to a conclusion or actually really getting started. So that's something definitely new there. Speaking of things being repetitive, I love tag team wrestling, right? Tag team division seems to be something I always enjoyed. Always thought in the old days it was a great way to develop stars, because there you could find out who are the brighter guys that were going to separate, who could be the future stars out there in terms of tag team wrestling. And Vince not being a huge fan of it, maybe that begins to start turning the other way, and we start getting some really good tag team matches, because the Usos being the longest reigning tag team champions out there against the Street Profits. We've seen the Street Profits and the Usos many, many times on Raw and SmackDown for free. Now we're going to see it at SummerSlam in the tag team match with Jarrett, good old Double J, as a special guest referee. Don't know where that came from. I guess Tennessee and Jarrett kind of coincide. Nashville.
Jarrett in the hand, brother. So
yes, exactly.
He's having quite a week. He's
going to be a busy man this weekend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that in terms of, could this be the final step where you feel that, they're going to move the tag division to another level in terms of competition? But right now, doesn't really seem to be anybody to be able to compete with the Usos, who are the dominant team right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't have any other tag teams. Like, who are they going to have compete with the Usos? Alpha Academy. Like, no disrespect to no disrespect to Chad Gable, but Otis isn't going to be going toe to toe with the Usos. So, look, it's the same thing that we've been talking about. Vince doesn't like tag team wrestling, so it's taken a back seat. But we've seen a lot of legendary tag team matches in NXT. So, I mean, back to my Johnny Gargano theory, if he wants to bring back DIY and have them dethrone the Usos and then do something with that, I am fine with that if that's something that happens down the road. Tommaso Ciampa's very good. Or sorry, Ciampa, because guys can't have normal names on the main roster. Johnny Gargano's very good. They were great as a tag team. That's something that could be pursued if they want to start taking tag team wrestling seriously again. They need more tag teams as a whole, though. So, I mean, we've seen them. It's always been thrown together teams that compete for these titles. And then anytime they do have established teams, they always break them up, whether it was Enzo and Cass or Heavy Machinery. We've seen time and time again where guys will, and it looks like they're about to do it with the Street Profits too, where, I mean, Montez Ford seems like he's going to be that breakout single star, and Angelo Dawkins is probably just going to be kind of left in the waiting. So, this should be the last match between the two teams. And then hopefully after that, they can start building up a completely broken and non-existent tag team division.
Yeah, a lot of speculation that they might be shopping for some tag teams. You never know. Again, everything could change. All this stuff that we're talking about in the next few months could possibly change. It could be more of a focus on women's wrestling. Could be more of, on adding depth to the women's wrestling, because they've main evented tons on Raw. So next thing is to evolve the tag team division there. So we should see change. I agree with you guys. Montez Ford is a star. I think Angelo too is very talented as well. It's just that it doesn't seem like they have that, that other plan for those other, for the other guys that they're going to push. If you're Montez Ford, you got a direction. It's just that the other guys, they don't seem to put any direction to those guys, which is kind of sad. Hopefully, again, all this stuff changes, man. And let's go to the next match, and that is going to be Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Listen, here's a thing where, listen, Sasha Banks and Naomi aren't there. Got to elevate somebody else. Finally, they gave Liv Morgan a chance. They listened to the fans because fans were screaming about this. And, she won at Money in the Bank. That was a really feel-good story. Does it continue, or does Ronda Rousey reclaim her championship? To me, I think, guys, ever since Ronda Rousey came back, it's just been horribly handled. I don't think it's been the right way. She's a heel. She's a badass. She should have come out that way. What are your thoughts on this match, and just what are your thoughts on Ronda Rousey's return to WWE?
I'm a notorious Ronda Rousey hater. Like, if she never wrestled a day again, I would not care. Probably be for the better. I love Liv Morgan, though. I mean, I was happy when she got her moment and whatnot. I would die for Liv Morgan. I've been clamoring about her being a champion forever. So glad that she is SmackDown Women's Champion. But yeah, no, if Ronda goes over, they're gonna burn down whatever building this is taking place in. Hopefully that doesn't take place. There's a lot of people who don't like Ronda Rousey. I am one of those people. I'm sure she's an okay person and everything. Just whenever she's on TV, I'm not happy. So I don't need to see her wrestle. Like, quite literally, I don't need to see her in WWE ever again. Like, I'm tired of like washed up UFC stars coming to the world of wrestling and just saying, I can do this. It's annoying. So I'm tired of Ronda Rousey. I don't enjoy watching her wrestle. I don't think she's a very good wrestler either. Like professional wrestler, like obviously she can kick anybody in that locker room's ass and whatnot in like an actual fight. But like pro wrestling, I've never seen a Ronda Rousey match, and I'm like, man, I'm really glad I watched that. So yeah, Ronda's not my thing.
I just don't think she's comfortable just in general, right? Like,
she can't talk either. Yeah, she's horrible talker.
She's a fan of it, right? The whole Roddy Piper thing, making her a fan, trying to, carry on the Rowdy name and everything like that. But it just seems like you could be the biggest fan, but if you just look uncomfortable, right? It's not going to go over. The fans aren't going to believe it. I would believe her more if she was just like that, that badass. But it's already been a few years since the UFC. So to me, I kind of just, if you think about it, I'm just like, okay, she's got the UFC thing, but there's just nothing else. I just think she needs a mouthpiece or something like that. She needs reinvigorated. That's what she needs. It's just something is missing there. What do you think, Trendsetter?
Well, I'm not going to be nice as Jarrett and what he said. Jarrett's very polite when he said. I'm going to be brutally honest here. The whole Ronda Rousey experiment, the second phase, has been an utter complete failure. Basically, the momentum she had going into when she got pregnant and had a baby and then came back, I think, way earlier than she should have, because she didn't look like she was even in any type of shape in general. So it was another failure. She had so much momentum, and listen, I'm with Jarrett and you, Jeff, where I'm kind of like was disliking the whole Ronda Rousey situation at WrestleMania 35. They main evented. Okay, I get it. You want to check your box off on that? Okay, cool, congratulations, because she did bring that type of attention. But now, time away from the WWE, time away, kind of out of the spotlight, to kind of rebuild that momentum, complete and utter failure. And the scenario here, I kind of agree. Liv kind of really has to go over here, because here's the thing: Ronda Rousey's not going to be here long term. If she's there for a consistent amount of time, great, but she's not the end-all result, the answer, basically. We just talked about depleted women's division, depleted tag team division. You need to build newer stars. Now, I love Liv, representing New Jersey. Got to love her, right? But at the same time, she has to take control, because I can tell you, that promo I saw her deliver on Raw and then SmackDown Live, I don't know. It's like, come on. I love this feel-good story, but come on. Act like you've been there before. Act like you own it. I hate it when you have champions crowned and then they won the title and they have to prove themselves all over again. No, come on. You're the champion for a reason. Let's treat, storyline-wise, that you are indeed the champion, and everybody's gunning for you, that you're one of the best out there. It's not just a quote-unquote fluke, but yeah.
Yeah, we talk about somebody else that's going from one sport to another, and that's Pat McAfee. But the only thing is, he's a natural. He's goddamn entertaining. he could possibly down the road be vying, and I could buy him being a champion in this company too. It's not far out of the realm of possibility for this happening. Talk about the other side, the positive side. Pat McAfee is freaking entertaining. I want to see him every time. He grabs people his attention. He's great on the mic. That's another person I want to see. I'm looking forward to Corbin and McAfee. You throw anything at Corbin, he can do it. McAfee, it should be an entertaining match. This is probably, to me, the show stealer, because I think both of them, in their own way, are entertaining.
I'm not the biggest Corbin guy. I agree that, if you give him anything, he can do it. It's just all the gimmicks that they give him have sucked. And I just wish they would just let him be Baron Corbin, lone wolf, shaved head, badass tattoos, pretty good wrestler.
Whoa. I have to stop you right there and say the Baron Corbin that had the stained white T-shirt, hair growing. That was pretty entertaining.
That was okay. I agree. I can agree. Yeah, like broke Baron Corbin. That was
doing that.
That was funny. Yes, that was good. But like when he was the authority figure on Raw, wrestling in like dress clothes, what they have him doing now, being Happy Corbin, that's the dumbest freaking. Can I swear on this podcast? By the way, I don't want. It's the dumbest fucking thing in this company, and I hate it. So Baron Corbin himself, good wrestler, and by all accounts, like he's a really nice dude. I just can't care about his character. Although I think pairing him with Pat for a match and like this program, it's going to be great. Like you guys already said it, Pat's great at like literally anything that he wants to be great at, which is kind of annoying. But I would usually be against like these celebrity matches or whatnot, but Pat's like a literal part of the company. He's had multiple matches and he's killed it every time that he's been in the ring. So yeah, without Pat McAfee, WWE, especially SmackDown, is not nearly as good as what it is. And SmackDown's kind of been shit recently. Pat McAfee's kind of the only thing that's keeping it good. So, I'm happy to see Pat wrestling. He's good at doing it. And if there's anybody that can kind of give him, or that people will be happy to see him beat, it will be Corbin.
Yeah. I think that's all Pat McAfee there. I think he gets the victory. I think Corbin does what he does well, and that's, have a good match, an entertaining match with a guy like McAfee. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. That's going to be probably a highlight of the night. If you are not a fan of these repetitive matches, this is one that we're going to probably enjoy and talk about. You're going to see GIFs and you're going to see memes about this all night, that night between McAfee, because I think McAfee's going to do something crazy. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be a very entertaining match, and I think they're going to deliver.
Yeah, but speaking of several celebrity matches right there, you got Logan Paul and The Miz, trying to carry momentum from WrestleMania. I mean, that's something that, I'm not going to throw him in the same category as Pat McAfee, but I got to admit, Logan Paul surprised me at WrestleMania. He was very entertaining, and to me, him and his brother have that natural tendency that I just want to hate them. I want them to get, to lose, or I want to see them get their ass handed to them, which might happen here at SummerSlam. But, great performance at WrestleMania. I have to give all the credit where credit's due to Logan Paul there. Is this something that could possibly, he signed a contract. Could this potentially be something in the forefront that we see more of Logan Paul more consistently? Obviously, he signed a contract, but this would be the first step of him being a regular on whichever roster he chooses to be on.
This is why I don't pay attention to WWE, because when AEW, and I'm going to sound like a mark here, I don't give a shit. AEW is pushing guys like Ricky Starks and turning them into stars, and WWE is worried about getting a goddamn YouTube douchebag and putting him in a match at SummerSlam with an annoying douchebag that they have. Like, look, The Miz is a cool dude, I'm sure. His character makes me want to rip my eyes out. I could not care less about this. I can't stand The Miz. I can't stand Logan Paul. No, absolutely not. No.
Yeah. Well, and it's about damn time they pushed Ricky Starks, though. He's doing great things now. There's a while where I was wondering, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's sitting there. But here's the thing, too, where I like Logan Paul. He impressed me at WrestleMania. I just think here's another case where, like, he's better as a heel. And there's no doubt you're going to see his brother in the WWE, and they're going to go after tag. This is just
that's going to be their tag team plan. They're going to bring in Jake Paul, and they're going to put him on the low. Oh, my fucking God.
And they're going to be an obnoxious tag team. And I think that if they just, instead of making them baby faces, because it looks like Logan's the baby face in this one, right? I just think that they're natural heels, and he's a natural heel, so I think that he's being booked wrong here.
And the feud's about balls.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Hopefully that goes away, because that's got to be a Vince McMahon sophomorical joke right there. With
everybody was like so excited when they became TV 14. Like there was the announcement, like, no, this is literally all it's going to be. It's going to be excuses for like Maurice to come out and like show off her boobs, and then they're going to talk about Mrs. Nuts. That's all it's going to be.
That's not the bad part. I think she's the MVP of the feud. I think her coming out on Raw was amazing. I think
it was funny, I guess, but like the entire thing is just, like I said, I'm not a big Miz guy. Like, I understand his shtick is like you're supposed to hate it. He's just annoying. Like, I don't have any sort of, I don't want to see the Miz on TV. I don't want to see Logan Paul. I don't want to see any of them. I really don't.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's where we got to balance sports entertainment with, the pro wrestling, right? That's where they're the different companies. That's why you have your different cup of tea when you turn on AEW and you check it out on Wednesday nights. That's the main difference. All right. Judgment Day against Dom and Ray. Again, we see this every combination, every mix and match of this every week, and then we're gonna get a match here, and then you think, man, they're gonna pull Seth and Riddle for this, or there's I don't know what to say, man. Like, I want to get excited. Finn Balor's great. We loved him in the beginning, and Damian Priest had potential. Dom, we believe, should be in NXT, and Ray, hey, he's a legend, right? 20 years of Ray in WWE. But this is just another match that is just like we've seen every combination of it. But I guess good for Finn and Damian that they get, that they're put on a pay-per-view, I guess.
Let me jump in there, Jeff, right when I can. This is one I have absolutely no interest whatsoever. I'd rather watch Logan Paul and The Miz than watch this, because this is absolutely no storyline whatsoever. A guy in Finn Balor, Fergal Devitt, who I've always been excited when he was Prince Devitt to come into the, and this is what they do with him. He just celebrated his 41st or 42nd birthday.
Yeah, 41st.
He's 41.
Yeah, dude, like, how many more years does this guy have left? And he's so talented because of a scenario they had no control over of Seth Rollins injuring him and him being the first ever Universal Champion. Can we do something with Finn Balor? He went back to NXT. He proved he can be a marquee name in terms of, have a look and have a run going there. And now he's back on the main roster doing the same stupid bull crap over and over
again.
They
always tease the Bullet Club in some sort of way, and they never do it. I mean, AJ and Finn, I was like, okay. And Liv Morgan, okay, I could see something. And then they just drop it. And then he just joins the Judgment Day for some reason. And Edge is nowhere to be seen. Might see him on Saturday. We might not. But what the F, man? Like, I feel for Finn Balor, man. And he looks like a happy-go-lucky guy. If you check out his Instagram, he's happily married. He loves life. But you kind of wish that he was, like, booked right in WWE.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's fantastic. He's got 90 abs. He's probably... Yeah. I would love, like, more than anything, and I know that him and Pac are really good friends. I would, like, I fantasy book Finn Balor and Pac either being a tag team or just wrestling each other because they're both very similar builds and they're both just badasses. So, I wish that he was getting, a better treatment. But, the story doesn't make any sense whatsoever if you kind of go back to the beginning of it. The only reason that they, had that entire turn to begin with is because Cody got hurt and they needed a top babyface. So, like, okay, Edge, we'll make Edge a babyface again. We just need to get him out of Judgment Day. Yeah, no, the entire thing doesn't make sense. I do love Finn Balor, though. I really like Damian Priest. I love Rhea Ripley, and they're just pissing away what was a really solid angle to start when they had, Edge just kind of recruiting, the stars of today and tomorrow into be this dark cult, and then they do what they do, and they squander it. So, I love Ray. I think he's great. I couldn't care less about his kid. Now, Dom he's certainly there. That is a fact. So
is his mullet.
He just does not relate the audience yet. I mean, he does have some talent, but I mean, I think he just obviously part of the deal where Ray resigned and they had to get, and part of it was bringing his Dom.
I'll resign, but you're bringing in my kid.
Yeah, that's probably that's what it was. It got honest truth. That's it. And then we got, I think it's kind of been like buried too. Has been Lashley and Theory. It just seems it's been about Theory 24/7, and he's facing Lashley, and he's the U.S. champion again. Another burial of another championship that they have in WWE. Lashley has actually gotten over, but I just don't think he's been portrayed. It's been the whole Theory show. I'm going to say Austin Theory. I hate calling it Theory. The Austin Theory show. So I have nothing against Austin Theory. I think he's John Cena 2.0. I think he can definitely be a top performer.
I don't think he's that.
I'm not gonna. I'm gonna stick to it. For the first time I saw him, I said he's John Cena 2.0. I'm gonna stick with that until I'm proven wrong. So I'm gonna give it a couple of years. So, but just your thought on this, your theory on Lashley and Theory at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that Bobby Lashley's gotten over. Like, good for him. He, from his first run when everybody he was the equivalent of white bread. Nobody cared. He was just big. Then he goes, has a nice run in Impact, has a nice run in Bellator, comes back, rocky a little bit when he comes back, but then the WWE title run, and now fans genuinely enjoy seeing him. So that's nice. I'm happy for Bobby Lashley. Yeah, I mean, I would like Austin Theory. So, like, it's just like the entire show was about Austin Theory this past week. Like, it was, okay, Dolph Ziggler and AJ Styles are wrestling Alpha Academy because Alpha Academy think that Austin Theory is cool and they want to defend his honor or whatever. So that was about Austin Theory for whatever reason. And then Roman and the Bloodline placing the briefcase on Theory's chest. That was about Austin Theory for whatever reason. And then the match with Lashley at SummerSlam with Theory. Like, look, man, I get that was Vince's, like, prodigy or whatever the hell. I'm gonna be very interested to see if Triple H stays on board with this mega push that he's getting. So I think the match will be fine. I mean, they're both good performers. It's not one that I don't think a lot of people necessarily care about too much, but the match itself will be good.
See, I can see Lashley keeping his title, getting the win. It doesn't hurt Theory. He's 0-6 since winning Money in the Bank. So the losses do not hurt Theory. So I think he could still lose to Lashley. 0-6. Yep, I read
Finn
that.
Balor's 41.
41, and he actually for his birthday he got 2 extra abs, so it's now at 92. So he has 92 abs now. So, but still 0-6. But he can still lose and still try to cash in the Money in the Bank. The question is, guys, does he successfully cash in? Because they've built this as last man standing. I wonder why. Last man standing could be beaten to a bloody pulp. Any of these guys. I don't see it. I'm convinced that we don't, but there is that possibility. Does Austin Theory cash in the Money in the Bank?
I say yes, because I think this is the only way you can theoretically there you go. Theoretically take the title off of Roman Reigns or one of the titles off. I don't know if it's going to be for the Undisputed Championship or for one title. I mean, they've basically said it's for the Undisputed Championship, right? So I thought this would be a good way to separate both titles if you wanted to. But I think really it's the only way you could really do it and not necessarily hurt Roman Reigns. or Brock wins it, finally overcomes that, and it's the only guy believable to defeat Roman Reigns, and then he gets beaten by Austin Theory, and we have a new champion there. Similar to what happened with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 31, where basically you had Roman, Brock, same scenario, and here comes Seth with the heist of the century, and that type of scenario works itself too with John Cena version 2.0. The reason why we call him 2.0 is because he we've seen all the Instagram pics of him basically wearing the same gear as John Cena, the whole Dr. Thugonomics thing. But at the same time, too, talk about somebody being force-fed down your throat. Austin's kind of following that same type of pattern. Yeah. But the thing is, he's despite what you might think about him, he is taking advantage of it, similar to what a John Cena would take advantage of those opportunities when John Cena was, wacky roll-up guy and ruthless John Cena type of scenario. Yeah. Same kind of presence here because, you have to build new stars. Hey, everybody loves the tribal chief. Everybody loves Brock Lesnar, but like we've talked about since.
Do they?
What? Nobody likes Brock Lesnar or the tribal chief?
I think everybody's kind of over both right now. Like tribal chief was great when he started. Brock Lesnar's, fine, but I think everybody's tired of seeing these two, especially against each other.
I have no question against each other, of course, but people are still chanting, "Acknowledge me."
Okay, sure, that's fine.
T-shirts. Yeah. Brock Lesnar is a freaking age. He's like our modern day version of Andre the Giant.
I would like Brock a lot more if, anytime he came back, he wasn't just automatically thrusted into a title match. Like, if he had actual feuds with people that didn't have to involve the title, then yes, give me more Brock. But unfortunately, he has 3 opponents historically whenever he's come back.
And that's more. And again, we'd say it's part of booking too, right? Because they put them together. Vince, every time there's in trouble or a scandal or somebody leaves, they get on the bat phone and they call Brock, right? Yeah. And Brock comes in. So that's Vince's safety net. Brock Lesnar, hey, bro, come on, pal, down from Canada and pay a gazillion dollars and wrestle Roman Reigns. That's his solution. Hopefully that changes. I love Cowboy Brock and I love the tribal chief. But it's been watered down because they don't have the opponents. They don't have those opponents. They haven't made.
That's what happens when you release all of your roster.
Yeah, and it might have been just because you had to pay for your sex scandals, right?
Yeah, apparently.
So it's. I believe it's more booking than on them. But these guys are special attractions, and let's hope it's the last time ever because.
It is. That's what they're booking it to be.
Yeah, so
I'm sure it is. Yeah,
but it all intertwines, right? Whether Austin Theory comes in and cashes in, I think it's going to be. Here's the thing: it's a crapshoot with Brock and Roman. WrestleMania 38 was not a good match in my eyes, but they've had other decent matches. The WrestleMania 31 that was a good match that they had between each other. So it's hit or miss between Brock and Roman. They don't really gel well when they get in there. So let's see. Maybe it's TV14. Maybe we do see blood. Last man standing, so that'll be something different because they've teased it, but they just haven't put the trigger on it. Jarrett, man, I really appreciate your time, dude. Love talking wrestling with you. Hopefully we can do this again. Hopefully when the NFL season starts, which is pretty soon, we can talk about some NFL stuff too, man. I know you're going to go to Pittsburgh to see your Steelers. I know you're going to be very active now, so glad we get you in to talk about SummerSlam before you got to do your NFL duties. But last thing is, what's the one prediction that you think is going to happen at SummerSlam? What's the one thing that you're like, you know what, this is mostly going to happen?
I'm going to stick with the Johnny Gargano thing. I really hope it happens. I'm just going to try to speak it into existence that we get Seth versus Johnny Gargano. So, but yeah, I enjoy anytime I can, talk wrestling and whatnot. That's kind of becoming my second thing now. As a lot of people who I've become friends with through, the wrestling media landscape and whatnot. So, football's going to own my life in the next 9 months. I cannot wait. Going to make a trip to Latrobe for training camp for at least a day, just to see everything going on. And then, it's going to be preseason, regular season, and then, from now until February, it's just go, go, go. So, I'm looking forward to it. But wrestling's always going to be that little, that little escape, my little fun time. So, always enjoy doing stuff like this.
Yeah, it's definitely a loyal fan base. I have to ask just a quick question real quick before we wrap up because I wanted to get your thoughts on it too because everyone's been talking about it too. You said your passion's football. We all have errors that happen. Times come and go. We look back on certain things that have been significant, whether it be in football, your sport that we love so much, baseball, name a sport, and now sports entertainment, pro wrestling. End of an era happened. What were your initial thoughts when you finally heard that the end had finally come, that hell finally froze over, and Vince was going to retire. Was that more of a feeling of, wow, it's officially over, and excitement, or was it more of just you never thought it was going to happen type of mentality?
It was a mixture of both. I think that a lot of people had attributed the product going stale in large part because Vince was still, the guy in charge of creative, and it was just the same old thing over and over again. And obviously, the circumstances surrounding it aren't ideal. Like, I would have liked to see Vince walk away without it involving the fact that, okay, he's under investigation for multiple, sex scandals. No one wants that, especially not the victims involved or anything like that. So that takes away the excitement a little bit. However, everything with Triple H, I think that there's a lot of optimism around that, seeing what he did with NXT for, almost 10 years and how great that was. We'll see what the changes continue to be. I mean, it seems that reports from backstage say everybody's really happy to have Stephanie, Triple H, and Nick Khan, running the show. And hopefully we get good things from it. So I think in the coming months, we'll kind of see those changes start to happen on screen and behind the scenes really too. And I think that that's something that can be said, hopefully for Triple H, is that, he's not going to run this thing like a ruthless authoritarian like his predecessor. So, there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of, what's going to happen next, but also, just a sour taste in the mouth because of how things with Vince and the story surrounding him over the past few weeks have been. So we'll see what happens going forward. I'm optimistic, and hopefully things, especially the product and the relations with the talent, get better.
It's definitely going to be a new era, definitely a pay-per-view to catch, see if there are changes. We believe there's going to be gradual changes at first, but we will see them. There's rumors Triple H wants to make a huge splash, so definitely we'll see if that is the case. But I think it was time for Vince to go. I kind of choose to throw him his flowers at first, and then we'll break down how kind of out of touch he was with stuff and some of the crazy stuff that he did and everything like that. But for one, for the first time I heard the news, I was like, let me just pay respect. For 40 years, he had to do some shit right to get where they're at right now.
Yeah.
So that's
And as like a wrestling fan, like somebody who did grow up on WWE, like, yes, Vince was a big part of the things that moments that we remember and we love. And the things that are coming out right now, it is kind of you try to separate like art from artist, for lack of a better term. So it's definitely it's hard to put into words. I would say
it's crazy, man.
But all we can say, guys, if the product starts sucking, can't blame Vince anymore.
Exactly.
That cop out's gone.
And the other thing too is like, don't ever think your shit's never gonna get out there. You could just look at Vince McMahon. You could be the most powerful guy ever, and it got out. It took years and years, but it got out. So don't think you're above anything coming out. It's crazy, man. It's just crazy. All the skeletons that came out, whatever. And
but a lot to look forward to now in this new generation, this new era in WWE to see what it brings, because you have so much variety out there. Let's see what WWE brings to the table now. What direction they're going to go in now.
Jarrett, thanks so much, man. Enjoy the NFL. Enjoy the preseason. Looking forward to.
I don't think anybody enjoys preseason, but yeah.
Well,
try to enjoy.
Yeah. This guy does. I'll tell you that much. Hey.
Hopefully, nobody gets injured. That's what I always hope for preseason.
Fingers crossed.
Exactly.
Let's pray for that. And you can follow him on his social media on Twitter at JBaileyNFL. He does so many things, writes for Sports Illustrated. You said today he's got his own podcast, No Notes, a podcast. Man, listen, thanks a lot for joining us, dude. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.